What is up, guys? Danny back again from the Couch Gnomes with another episode of Gnomenclature for you today. As a gamer, sometimes it's really difficult to know if you're going to like a game or not without playing it first. Hence, the most popular episode of Gnomenclature. Most of the time we have a pretty good idea if some of the big AAA releases are going to go beyond expectations and wow all of us. And normally you can tell if you're going to love somebody's little indie darling that they make in their basement. But what about those middle-of-the-road AA titles? Those games that look pretty good but you're not quite sure if you're going to enjoy them or not. Well, today we're going to talk about one of those AA games. Journey to the Savage Planet was a game I remember being revealed at the Game Awards back in 2018, but I never really showed much interest in it. But from that point on, it was simply a blip in my gaming memory banks. Then one afternoon, I stumbled upon this fairly small Irish YouTuber playing the game for his channel, and I thought it looked pretty fun. And like clockwork, the PlayStation Spring Sale threw the game in my face and said,
"Hey Danny, time to spend your money, big boy. Buy the game."
Now, did I buy this game instantly without taking a moment to go back and look at reviews to see if it was actually any good? Well, in the words of my boy Ed,
"You bet your sweet bippy I did."
In Journey to the Savage Planet, you play as a wannabe space explorer who signs on to join the Pioneer program operated by Kindred Aerospace, the fourth best interstellar exploration company. Your objective is to be launched into space, land on an undiscovered planet, and survey it to determine whether it's fit for human settlement. But upon landing, your ship takes a little tumble, and now you have to search for a substitute fuel source to get yourself back home. However, it looks like Kindred must have forgot to supply you with, well, anything. So you have to find an assortment of alien alloys, chemical compounds, and crystal juices to build new tools to help you on your adventure. But once you start exploring, you realize someone else has already been here. But who? What did they want with this planet, and more importantly, where'd they go? Well, that's up to you to uncover. Journey to the Savage Planet is a first-person adventure platformer, where you start the game in a cramped spaceship, roughly the size and smell of your average college dorm room. You get up, receive a wonderful greeting from the company founder, and head on over to your personal computer to register yourself and confirm who you are. So this part's actually pretty cool, because I didn't realize until my second playthrough that it actually matters. For my first run, I chose this dude with the pilot hat and goggles and played through the game with my manly grunts, groans, screams, and squawks. But when I started my second playthrough for some trophy hunting, I picked a dog, and while sprinting to my objective and running out of stamina, my character started panting, and then there were a couple snarls and barks along the way, and I was actually really surprised. Now, it doesn't really add anything as far as quality of gameplay, but it is a fun little thing to bring your character to life. To start, you're solely equipped with the scanner that's installed in your visor, which you'll use to analyze the flora and fauna of ARY-26. You'll progressively unlock more weapons and equipment to help you traverse the intense terrain of this planet, such as your Nomad pistol, the Proton Tether, and the Live Sampler. The Nomad pistol's gonna be your only real source of combat. Well, aside from giving everyone a good old British welcome with a nice backhand to the face. As you make your way from one objective marker to another, you'll find a bunch of materials like silicon, aluminum, and carbon, which you'll utilize to craft upgrades for your pistol, such as increased ammo capacity and the supercharged shot. Probably my favorite tool in the game is the Proton Tether. This tether helps you reach higher locations by shooting an energy whip and grappling yourself up, and eventually you can start riding rails, which improves your mobility even more. The start of Savage Planet's a bit slow mobility wise, but once you unlock the tether, things really pick up the pace. Eventually you'll be swinging around like nobody's business. The Live Sampler isn't particularly useful to you as a pioneer, but you'll need it to get specific DNA samples from different animals, to then send back to Kindred scientists to improve your Explorer rank. This is the only way to unlock more upgrades for not only your weapons, but your backpack and visor too, so you can fully uncover every mystery of this planet. These upgrades aren't exactly necessary to complete the game, but they're definitely helpful. In a first-person game with platforming, sometimes you need an additional 3 to 4 jumps to land just right. Around ARY-26, there are a bunch of alien teleporters, which makes going back and forth collecting things that much more streamlined. However, sometimes it's hard to find these teleporters because there isn't a map of any kind. After investing my first 5 hours or so into the game, I didn't really need it because I became so acclimated with the world. But to start, it was pretty frustrating trying to remember where that teleporter was so I could get back to my ship for upgrades. Now, as long as my mission required me to go back to the ship, it would show up on the compass at the top of the screen, which was super helpful. Except when you play like me, and instead of taking the path you're supposed to, you jump down to the nearest floating island and trap yourself above the objective for 27 minutes. I sat in this cold, dark room trying to figure out how to open the door or climb out, to later discover I was supposed to go through the door at the bottom and take the elevator up. So I had the right idea, I just didn't go far enough down. Upon walking out of your ship, your health and stamina are very low, which is why you need to collect these orange goo things that'll increase your health capacity. And you better keep your eyes open, because there's only 100 of these things, so you don't want to end up missing one that's hiding in the tall grass. Now thankfully the orange goo won't actually attack you. Sadly, the same can't be said for the creatures whose home you're invading. Even though a lot of these creatures are docile and the worst they'll do without being provoked is poop on your head, there are a few territorial ones that'll pounce at the chance to kill you. And each one of them has their own unique attack pattern, which you'll have to learn to read to find your opening and take them out. Most of these animals do put up a pretty nasty fight, so each time they put you down for the count, you respawn back at your ship as a brand spanking new clone of your former self. And then you get to go back and find them again and again and again until you finally win. Then you get to bury all your fallen selves for the sake of being selfish. I personally found the gameplay loop for Savage Planet to be really enjoyable. Even though it isn't anything particularly new or innovative, it never felt like an area existed without a purpose. Every corner you went around had something new to find. Everything you discover was special and unique, and never did I feel like I was being challenged with something that was more than I could handle at any given time. Not to say that there's no challenge in this game, but it never felt overwhelming. I always knew that there was something I could do to turn the tides of the battle and come out on top. And the freedom of being able to follow through on my mission to the end, or just gather the fuel that I needed to get home, left me with the desire to go back and play through the game again to get both endings. A lot of people say that gameplay is king when it comes to the quality of a video game, but if there's one thing I think this game does better than gameplay, it's the hysterical writing throughout. The humor in this game had me laughing constantly, whether it be from the character dialogue or the slapstick comedy. There was a bottomless barrel of funny moments and laughs to be had.
And thank you for your service. Are you injured or hurt? If you're only hurt, you can keep exploring.
After collecting certain amounts of data from the planet, you'll get a plethora of goofy videos on your ship's computer. Some of them are essential videos from Kindred's home base, updating you on your progress. Others are weird commercials and trailers that give me some intense Rick and Morty vibes. From ads about brain wipes that help you clean your thoughts, to commercials from Wedgie Burger, a disgusting restaurant where I guess if you let your kid get wedgied by a big machine, you get free food? That doesn't sound very hygienic. My personal favorite commercial has to be for Blobline, a phone sex hotline where you hit on gelatinous life forms. Yeah, baby, tell me about the blob. That's so hot. Hold on, give me a second. A lot of small animals you'll come across end up being your personal punching bags, but none more so than the puffer birds. These poor little bastards get beaten down constantly. You can launch them into the air and have them come back down and splatter into 100 little pieces, or lure them over to this unholy meat vortex which will suck them in and grind them up. It's pretty morbid, but honestly, I was losing it the first time I watched this little bird get pulverized into a puffer bird smoothie. But without a doubt, the funniest part of this game has to be your AI companion Echo. Echo's there to make sure you know where you're going, but she does it in the funniest way possible. Every time you discover something new, she's got something hysterical to say about it.
You're gonna have to climb that crystal formation. If you had a grapple, it'd be a piece of piss. Cake! Oh, my vocabulary database got scrambled in the, no, I meant cake. It'd be a piece of cake.
Everything Echo says to you is intended to be helpful, but sometimes she comes across as unintentionally sarcastic, or she says a little too much and gives her personal opinions on the subject.
So, good news, bad news. Good news is those things you ate made you way harder to kill. Bad news is you're harder to kill because most of your bones have been replaced with rock-hard space tumors. Good news, potential partners dig tumors. Or so I hear.
Sometimes when I was struggling or couldn't quite figure out what to do next, Echo would jump in with a funny joke or insulting comment about my abilities as an explorer, and it would give me this moment of relief that I think is what helped me power through this game as fast as I did. Now, I really enjoyed this game. It had funny moments, enjoyable gameplay, and I think it's a good time to be had. That being said, it's far from perfect. I have a few gripes about things that affected my experience that I hope will be fixed in either a patch or a potential sequel. To start, the game can't technically be paused. It works just like any kind of multiplayer game where the menu comes up, but the action is still going on behind the menu. This made it pretty difficult for me to stop playing the game for any stretch of time, so I could move around, go to the bathroom, or help bring in groceries, because I couldn't just leave the game. I had to save and exit to the menu, otherwise I'd be standing in the middle of an open field and a pikeman would come along and murder my lifeless statue of a body. I have to imagine they implemented this for some reason to do with the speedrun trophies or the co-op mode, but I don't know, I didn't like it. Now, without getting into spoilers, the one part of this game that really is the only one that frustrated me was the lead up to the final boss. The lead up to the final boss was an elevator ride, where you have to stop on each level, solve a bunch of annoying puzzles, and fight a few obnoxious enemies in tiny places, then start the elevator again. I think overall, it wasn't so much that this was bad game design, as much it was very annoying level design right before the big climactic moment that I was supposed to be excited for. But after having to bash my head through the wall to get there, I think this whole final level kind of left me drained and took away from the excitement I was supposed to have at the end. My only other real critique aside from the map that I mentioned earlier is a few inconvenient bugs. Occasionally I'd have a few issues that interrupted my experience, such as huge text taking over my screen, my weapons and throwables going invisible but still being functional, and this big purple ray of light that was cutting my screen in half. These minute bugs aren't anything particularly big. Like I said, they don't break the game, they don't destroy your experience, but they're definitely things that take you out of the immersion. They definitely are noticeable, and it kind of makes you stop and say, oh yeah, I am playing a game. Weird. Now, if you follow me on my personal Instagram, shameless plug right here, you know I like to do a lot of trophy hunting these days. However, I won't normally go out of my way to platinum games that require me to do things that I don't enjoy about gaming. So some things like completing the game in the hardest difficulty, completing it without dying, or speedrunning it are things that make me instantly say no to wanting to platinum a game. Trophies like that have actually prevented me from platinuming some of my favorite games of all time, such as Uncharted and Shovel Knight. And once I saw the no refunds trophy for Journey to the Savage Planet, I was pretty confident I wasn't going to get the platinum in this one either. But when I saw you had to complete the game in 4 hours, and I did it in roughly 10 with a bunch of side exploring and not knowing what I was doing, it seemed pretty doable, so I went for it. So huge shout out to OUTTA for his guide on the speedrun. He does an excellent job of walking you through the game, telling you what to pick up when, and what turns to make to complete the game as quickly as possible. With the help of his guide, I was able to complete the game in 1 hour and 7 minutes, giving me roughly a 3-hour buffer for that trophy. And when it came to finding all the missing flowers and animals that I missed along the way, Gaming with Abyss had the perfect guide that helped me complete everything in one night. And then for the trophies I thought I would never get because I didn't know a single soul that also owned this game on the PS4, the co-op trophies. They're very simple trophies to accomplish, but you can't do them alone. You need a buddy, and that's where I was having issues. And trying to convince one of my friends to spend the money on this game to play for probably 1 hour just to help me get trophies was not gonna happen. Which is why my final shout out goes to Simon, aka Pewdbuscus. Simon has supported the channel since nearly the beginning. He's come to so many of our streams, watched our content, bought merch, and been a huge motivation for us. So Pewdbuscus, thank you for all the support. Couldn't have done it without you, buddy. To wrap things up, Journey to the Savage Planet was a fun surprise. A game I knew about but never thought I'd actually play, let alone really enjoy. From its sense of humor to gorgeous environments, Journey to the Savage Planet had me enthralled in its universe from start to finish. So I actually had a funny joke here where I was going to talk about how on the PS4 version they had the update for the DLC, but the DLC wasn't available on PS4 yet. So when you clicked on it, it took you to an empty PlayStation page. So I was going to make a joke about that, but then the DLC came out as I finished writing the script, so I changed it, and I was going to be like, I can't wait to play the DLC, and then I bought the DLC and downloaded the DLC and played the DLC all in one day. So now I've beaten the DLC. The DLC is pretty fun. It's short. It's $8. It's not too much. It's like a whole extra side mission. But either way, fun times. Hot garbage DLC. It's pretty cool. Honestly, Journey to the Savage Planet felt so familiar to games like No Man's Sky and Outer Wilds that I thought it was an older game than it actually is. So imagine my surprise when I found out this game came out early 2020. And now it has the potential of being on my list for the top 10 games of 2020. Now, normally I like to keep my list as secret as possible, but I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek of what my top 5 looks like so far, okay? So it's ranking pretty well, isn't it? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up below. It really helps spread the video. What did you think of Journey to the Savage Planet? Have you played it? If you did you enjoy it? If you didn't like it, why? And if you haven't played it, do you see yourself picking it up? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're interested in some Couch Gnome merch, do yourself a favor, shop.spritetree.com/couchgnomes. You can buy yourself a bunch of shirts. All my Couch Gnome shirts are in the wash, so I don't have one on right now, but there's a bunch of cool ones, so do yourself a favor and pick one up. And also, if it's your first time here, do yourself a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notifications every time a new video comes out. And I'll see you guys next time.